السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.
الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر. أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله. أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله. أشهد أن محمدًا رسول الله. أشهد أن محمدًا رسول الله. حي على الصلاة. حي على الصلاة. حي على الفلاح. حي على الفلاح. الله أكبر الله أكبر. لا إله إلا الله.
الحمد لله خالق الوجود من العدم، وجاعل النور من الظلم، ومخرج الصبر من الألم، وملقي التوبة على الندم. فنشكره على المصائب كما نشكره على النعم، ونصلي على رسوله الأكرم بالشرف الأشم والنور الأتم والكتاب المحكم وكمال النبيين والخاتم، سيد ولد آدم، الذي بشر به عيسى بن مريم ودعا لبعثته إبراهيم عليه السلام حين كان يرفع قواعد بيت الله المحرم. فصلى الله عليه وسلم وعلى أتباعه خير الأمم الذين بارك الله بهم كافة الناس، العرب منهم والعجم. فالحمد لله الذي لم يتخذ ولدا ولم يكن له شريك في الملك ولم يكن له ولي من الذل وكبره تكبيرا. والحمد لله الذي نحمده ونستعينه ونستغفره ونؤمن به ونتوكل عليه ونعوذ به من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا. من يهده الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلل فلا هادي له. ونشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له، ونشهد أن محمدًا عبد الله ورسوله أرسله الله تعالى بالهدى ودين الحق ليظهره على الدين كله، وكفى بالله شهيدا. فصلى الله عليه وسلم تسليما كثيرا كثيرا. ثم أما بعد، فإن أصدق الحديث كتاب الله، وخير الهدي هدي محمد صلى الله عليه وسلم، وإن شر الأمور محدثاتها، وإن كل محدثة بدعة، وكل بدعة ضلالة، وكل ضلالة في النار. يقول سبحانه وتعالى في كتابه الكريم بعد أن أقول أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم: بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله الذي أنزل على عبده الكتاب ولم يجعل له عوجا، قيما لينذر بأسا شديدا من لدنه ويبشر المؤمنين الذين يعملون الصالحات أن لهم أجرا حسنا ماكثين فيه أبدا. اللهم اجعلنا منهم. رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقهوا قولي. اللهم ثبتنا عند الموت بلا إله إلا الله. اللهم اجعلنا من الذين آمنوا وعملوا الصالحات وتواصوا بالحق وتواصوا بالصبر. آمين يا رب العالمين. I wanted to share this khutbah with you in regards to two ayat, the first two ayat of Surah Al-Kahf, if time permits, maybe more, and one very particular lesson that stems from these couple of ayat. And in order to introduce this lesson and remind myself and all of you through it, I want to take you back to a high school experience that I had. I was raised, most of my adult life, it actually began in New York City. And I went to high school in New York City after spending the previous childhood before then in the Muslim world. So I have either been schooled in Pakistan or I've been schooled in Saudi. And then for high school, I came to the United States. And I didn't go to an Islamic high school, I went to a public high school. And you can imagine the environment being very different when you're in a madrasa in Riyadh and when you're in a public high school in New York City. They're worlds apart. And over time, at first, when you see a completely different world where there are boys and girls sitting together, la hawla wa la quwwata illa billah, but that's the least of our problems here, right? So boys and girls are sitting together, there's no uniform, you could dress however you want, you could be chewing gum in class, for which you can get a death sentence back in Pakistan, but over here it's okay. You know, you just sit there in class chewing gum, or worse, you know. First time I sat in a classroom, I didn't even speak much English. The guy sitting next to me, he had his boots up on the table in front of him while the teacher was talking. And the teacher was still talking. And she was just teaching like, you know, she's sitting in a train, standing in a train station or something, and these are just tourists waiting for their bus or train or something. Nobody was paying attention. Nobody was paying attention. And I came from a culture where you respect your teachers. When they speak, you don't even look around, you look straight at them. Like there's birds on your head, you can't move. You're still. And when you ask a question, you raise your hand first. And when they pick on you, you stand up and you answer the question. That's how you show respect to your teachers back home. Nobody does that around here. Maybe in the military, I don't know. But outside of that, there's no such thing. Teachers, what to speak of respect for teachers? There's no such thing. And not that I experienced it all across high school. But because of my previous background, when she was teaching biology and she said something about osmosis or something, and she said, anybody know what that is? And I had learned that back home, so I raised my hand. And she picked on me, and I stood up. And I answered. And when I stood up and answered, the entire class started laughing at me. Like, look at this weirdo, just standing up and answering the question. What's wrong with this guy? And that was my first day at school. Among other things that I'd rather not mention from the minbar. But as time went on, the things that, I was weird to them, but actually more than that, they were strange to me. Why don't these people have any respect? How can men and women or boys and girls interact like this with each other? How can people dress like that? La hawla wa la quwwata illa billah. Like I was in shock. But over time, and I'll tell you a true story also, when I first week of high school, the bell rings and you go from one class to another. The hallways get filled up with kids that are going from one room to another. And sometimes you go up the stairs because our school was 4 floors. So when you go up the stairs, you have to hold on to the railing to go up the stairs. I didn't touch the railing because I thought people have not just touched it. I shouldn't touch it. I didn't touch it for a week. People would touch me and I was like, oh, innama mushrikuna najas. And on top of that, if you see their behavior, first time I walked into a bathroom in high school, I looked inside. I never went in. I never went to the bathroom when I was in high school, 4 years. I didn't go. This was the shock I had just in the first week. But you know what? 6 months later, it wasn't that shocking anymore. It wasn't so bad. The words I first heard, I didn't have enough English to know that those were filthy words. I just heard them all the time. When I learned what they meant, they were even more shocking. But 6 months later, it's like nothing. You hear it, nothing happens. No alarm goes up. Nothing bothers you. You start accepting that everything around you is normal. You're the one that was weird. You were the one that was strange. You need to become more like everyone else if you want to fit in, if you want to survive. And what I'm trying to get at to you today, the point I'm trying to make is this is a natural human tendency. We define normal. Subconsciously, we define normal by everything that is around us. And when we are different from everything that is around us, we accept that we are not normal. And there is another natural human tendency to want to fit, to want to be normal, to want to be like everyone else, to want to belong. Belonging is something that Allah put inside of us. This is why we have the natural desire to want to belong within our family, to want to have friends. To want to have people around us. This is something Allah put inside every human being, No human being, and even so, these secularists, sociologists, and philosophers, even they'll say man is a social animal, right? They've reduced themselves to the point where they've accepted themselves as animals. So they say man is a social animal. Or they'll say no man is an island. But there's truth to the fact that we don't exist on our own. We need company. We need people around us. Which is why the worst kind of prison is solitary confinement, by the way. The worst kind of prison criminals go in is when they're in a jail cell 23 and a half hours a day, by themselves, nobody to talk to. This is the most difficult kind of prison that you can put a human being in. And this is actually one of the punishments of hellfire also. وَمَنْ يَعْصِ اللَّهَ وَرَسُولَهُ Whoever disobeys Allah and His Messenger, يُدْخِلْهُ نَارًا خَالِدًا فِيهَا فَلَمْ يَقُلْ خَالِدِينَ فِيهَا. In the previous ayah, he talked about Jannah and said people will be living in Jannah forever together. Khalidin, al-Jama'. In the very next ayah of Surah An-Nisa, he said, يُدْخِلْهُ نَارًا خَالِدًا فِيهَا. He will put him in hellfire to stay alone in it. In other words, what I'm trying to get at is solitude. Being alone is a kind of hell. Being alone, even in this dunya, is a kind of hell. You don't want to be alone. Nobody wants to be alone. You want to have friends, you want to have belonging. So now a natural human tendency, we want to fit with everyone else. But when we are different from other people push us away or we push them away. So out of your desire to fit, you start kind of letting some things go. You let some things go. I'll go back to my story, I'll give you another story. Recently, we were, some youth they went to a basketball game. They rented out a gym where I live, and a bunch of teenage boys, Muslim boys, they went to play basketball with a youth coordinator. So this brother, they prayed Maghrib, and they went to the basketball gym. And they're playing basketball, and they're non-Muslims there too. There's all kinds of people there. And Isha time came. And so the brother who took them, he's like, hey guys, salat time. And these are 17, 18-year-old boys. I mean, these are young men, right? Confident young men, by the way. Very well dressed, well-built, athletic, stand up for themselves. The guy says, hey guys, it's time for salat. He goes into the corner of the gym and says, hey, let's pray. None of the guys, all the guys were like, but there are non-Muslims around. What are they going to say? Can we do this later? Can we just go to the masjid later? You have the keys, right? You can open that up. Let's just play ball over here, okay? I don't want to be weird here. Like all these guys that were confident in everything. When they were playing basketball, they were owning it. When it came to praying, they got really uncomfortable. Muslim guys, they got really uncomfortable. I don't know if I want to pray in front of non-Muslims, this is a little awkward. I don't want to be put in that position. I come here, I don't just come here for this, I come here regularly. I don't want people looking at me all weird next time I come here, So I don't want to show too much of my Islam. And it tells me something. It tells me something. It tells me that we haven't really understood what it means to hold on to Islam when most people around you are not holding on to Islam. We don't know what that takes. We don't know what that means. Maybe we haven't had enough of a conversation about that. Allah Azza wa Jalla in this surah, in Surah Al-Kahf, in the beginning He began with Alhamdulillah. And Alhamdulillah, all of you say it all the time, you know what that means. To have praise and gratitude for Allah. But sometimes Allah takes that praise and gratitude, which is for all things. We thank Allah and we appreciate Allah for everything. For everything. But sometimes in the Quran, He takes one thing and says, especially for this, Alhamdulillah. Especially for this. Think about this and thank Allah. Think about this and appreciate Allah. And that's what He did here. He took a few things, 4 or 5 things that we should think about, and when we think about them, the words that come out of our mouth are supposed to be Alhamdulillah. That's what's supposed to be the case. I'll just share 2 of those things with you. There are more of them, but there's just 2 that I want to share with you today. He says, Alhamdulillah, الذي أنزل على عبده الكتاب ولم يجعل له عوجا. Praise and gratitude belongs to Allah who sent the book down upon His slave, meaning Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, and He didn't furnish, لم يجعل له. He didn't provide any opportunity in this book for iwaj. Now what the word iwaj means in Arabic is crookedness, deviation. Like when they try to dig a grave, it's a rectangle, but if the digger makes a mistake and it comes out kind of with a lahad in it, that's called iwaj. is a little bit of a deviation. That's called iwaj. Now, if you're trying to build a straight line, you draw a straight line. When you try to do it by hand, what happens? Human error. You end up making it a little bit curved. You understand? That's called iwaj. They say in Arabic, for example, هل يستقيم الظل والعود أعوج. This is an old saying of the Arabic language. Is the shadow going to be straight when the stick itself is crooked? Right? So now Allah says in this Quran, there is no room. He didn't provide it with any opportunity to have deviation. What that means is very powerful before we go to the next part. What that means is the Quran has certain values. It has certain principles. It teaches us certain truths. It doesn't matter what changes in the world. The world will deviate. The world will change this way, then it will change that way, then it will change this way, then it will change that way. There will be a time in the world, and there was a time in the world where communism was spreading like wildfire. And capitalism felt threatened. And then capitalism came back and annihilated communism. And it started spreading. There was a time when socialism was spreading. There's a time now that they're pushing democracy to spread. Ideologies in the world spread all the time. They come and they go. They swing this way, then they swing that way, then they swing this way, and they swing that way. One iwaj to another iwaj to another iwaj to another iwaj. And Allah says, Alhamdulillah, no matter what political situation changes, what social situation changes, what economic turmoil happens, how the economy changes, how technology changes, how fashion changes, how language changes, how culture changes, one thing will not change. This book and its values will not change. They will be as straight as they were when they were revealed. They will be as clear as they were when they were revealed. Alhamdulillah, we are not a people who keep changing our standards as the world changes its standards. Because the world, wallahi, the world changes its standards a lot. The people around you change their standards a lot. I can tell you, living in the United States in most of my adult life, I can tell you some things. In the 90s, when guys used to dress a certain way, they used to get beat up in school. Guys that wore tight jeans, guys that wore like skimpy clothes, they used to get beat up. And they used to get called all kinds of bad names. It was just the culture. This wasn't like Muslims beat them up or something. This was the culture. This was the culture. Now that's celebrated. That same kind of dress that used to get a guy beat up in school is now celebrated. In other words, what used to be detested by society, they used to hate it and find it disgusting, now it's the most fashionable thing. It's turned around. Men wearing tight clothes looked funny in the 90s. Guys, if you remember that 90s fashion, they used to have t-shirts that looked like clothes. That's what they had. It was fashionable to wear pants that are like, 4 times your size. You could build a tent with those pants, which you put them on. This was the fashion. It was just fashionable. And people did it. And now the exact opposite is the case. Clothes are becoming more and more skinned, even for men. Even for men. And I'm not just commenting about fashion. I'm saying that in our society, standards change very, very quickly. What is acceptable changes very, very quickly. It's pushed from one direction to another, to another, to another, to another. But you know what, for most people are just blind consumers. So they turn this way, then they turn that way, then they turn this way, then they turn that way. But the Muslim has been freed. We've been freed from slavery to fashion, from slavery to trends, from slavery to being like everyone else, from slavery to wanting to be popular. We don't have those psychological pressures. We have a book that doesn't deviate. It keeps us above it. It lets us look at those people that are going this way and that way and be able to say, I feel sad for you. I feel it's such a pathetic life you live that you don't have something you can hold on to. I was shocked. One of the courses I took in college was media studies. Media studies. And in media studies, I remember this course, I took it in 1999. And my professor in media studies said within 15 years, it is going to be problematic in the United States to speak out against homosexuality. My professor said this in class. Within 15 years, it's going to be difficult for anyone to speak out against homosexuality. And at the time, there's 20 students sitting in class going, come on. Seriously? That's never going to happen. That's never going to happen. Nobody's going to accept that. There's a show or two on the air, but nobody likes that stuff. And I tell you, like the people people used to get beat up in school, they used to get beat up in school too. It was hated by society. The idea of it was hated by this society, American society, 15 years ago. To the point where college students in a relatively liberal school can't accept, no, that's never going to be acceptable. Within 15 years, the president congratulates an athlete for coming out. Within 15 years, teachers are being sued because they may have said something that might sound a little insensitive, etc. SubhanAllah. Change comes. And you know what? We feel the pressure. We feel like we have to answer these questions. We have to give a careful response to every one of these issues because, there's a lot of political pressure on the Muslims and a lot of social pressure on the Muslims. Alhamdulillah, Allah removed this pressure from us because we were supposed to be weird to begin with. فَطُوبَى لِلْغُرَبَاءِ The Rasulullah ﷺ told us that to congratulate us because we are strange. Nobody will find us acceptable. Nobody in any society, forget America, forget India, forget Pakistan, Bangladesh, those who will hold on to Allah's book, everybody around them will say, what is wrong with you? Why can't you be normal? Because the humanity, when humanity decides what is normal, it deviates. إِن تُطِعْ أَكْثَرَ مَنْ فِي الْأَرْضِ يُضِلُّكَ عَنْ سَبِيلِ اللَّهِ If you were to follow the majority of the earth, they will take you away from Allah's path. It's just a formula. We accept the fact that we believe in the unpopular thing. Our values are going to be unpopular. They will be. Then you know what will happen? There will be young people. A young generation will come up who we did not connect to this book. They have no relationship with this book. And the only relationship they have is they memorize a little bit of it. فَوْقَ ذَلِكَ لَا يَفْهَمُونَ شَيْئًا They don't understand anything from this book. They have no emotional, intellectual relationship with this book. So they will start asking, why do I hold on to these values? Because this is the book. Alhamdulillah الَّذِي أَنزَلَ عَلَى عَبْدِهِ الْكِتَابِ وَلَمْ يَجْعَلْ لَهُ عِوَجًا Muslims will not hold on to their values. Muslims are not guaranteed to hold on to their values. The values are timeless in the book. And if you don't hold on to the book, if you're not connected to the book, then you will lose your values. You will lose your values. You won't have them. If we don't raise a generation that has a direct relationship with Allah's book, a thoughtful relationship, a relationship of tadabbur, of thought, of reflection, a relationship of thinking about the Quran, because Quran forces us to think. If we don't raise that generation, then we're going to find ourselves in a big problem, because we're going to have a generation of people who call themselves Muslim, and yet their values deviate. Their values are just going to deviate, because there's no connection to the thing that holds them straight. Allah Azza wa Jalla then says, qayyiman in the next ayah. It's very difficult to explain this word. Very difficult. But I'll just say a few things, inshallah, and especially for the young people here. If you could try to pay attention to this part, it's important for all of you to understand some things about the Quran. One of the great crises of the world today is self-esteem. Did you know that? Young people across the world, across religions, are suffering from low self-esteem. Suicide among young people is on a rise. Drug abuse and alcohol abuse is on a rise. And one of the primary reasons for drug and alcohol abuse and video game obsession, like, a obsessive-compulsive relationship with video games, is because young people have such a sad reality that they like to escape that reality by staying in a virtual reality or a drugged-up reality. A reality where it's not really this world, the ugly world that they live in. And a lot of it is rooted directly to low self-esteem. The word qayyim in the Arabic language here there are many explanations the nuhat, the grammarian, gave for this word. One of this is an-nasb ala al-iqra. That is the qayyiman, the tanween on it in the fathatain, is actually because it stands upright. This book, forget any possibility for deviation. Rather, the fact is, it stands upright. It stands like a building that stands or a tree that stands, and no matter how many winds come, the entire forest falls, this tree's still standing. That is Quran. It won't move. This is qayyim. This is different from qa'im. Qa'im means standing, but that's an ism fa'il. Qayyim is an ism sifa, which means it's constantly standing. It doesn't budge. It doesn't move. So we're saying, Alhamdulillah alladhi anzala ala abdihi al-kitab wa ja'alahu qayyiman. This is actually one of the taqdeer of the ayah. Why qayyiman there? And to make this easy, because I don't want to get into language too much, it gets complicated for people. But to help you understand, imagine two young people are having an argument. One guy loves hockey, the other guy loves basketball. He goes, hockey is the greatest sport in the world. And the other one goes, basketball. He doesn't even say, no, not hockey. In fact, basketball is the greatest sport in the world. He just says one word, which is what? Basketball. He gets so offended by the idea that hockey is the greatest sport in the world that his response is so emotional that he doesn't even have time for an entire sentence. He just says one word, basketball. That's it. This is actually the form used in Qayyimah. Allah didn't provide any room for deviation in the book. Upright. Standing up. That's what it is. Like, get it through your heads. This book doesn't budge. You will budge. And if you want strength, you come to this book. If you want confidence, you come to this book. If you want to stand up for something and find the courage of heart to be able to stay on it no matter what people say and stop fearing people and only fear Allah, then come to this book. فَلَا تَخْشَوْهُمْ وَخْشَوْنِي. Don't fear people, fear me. The word qayyim also in the Arabic language, it means several things. I want to tell you a few things. Qayyim, when something stands. Naqidul julus, they say. It's the opposite of sitting. When someone is sitting down. When someone is sitting down, like if in this crowd I say, does anybody have an opinion? Does anybody have a rejection, a question, a criticism? Somebody stands up, which means that they showed courage. They showed courage and they said something. They stood up from the rest of the crowd. Qayyim actually suggests something. It suggests that the Quran doesn't just sit around. When the world changes around us and bad things happen, the Quran takes a stand. The Quran has something to say. When evil is happening, Allah's book has something to say. That's why people who believe in this book, يَأْمُرُونَ بِالْمَعْرُوفِ. They stand up and they speak the truth. They enjoy the good. This is Surah Al-Kahf. What's going to come in a few minutes? A few ayat later. إِذْ قَامُوا فَقَالُوا فَلَمْ يَكُنْ فَقَالُوا قَالْ إِذْ قَامُوا فَقَالُوا. They stood up and they spoke. The young people stood up in front of a king and spoke out about their beliefs. They weren't afraid to speak. This book will make you stand up for the right thing. In a world where everybody's bending, everybody's deviating, it will raise a people, it will create a people that can stand up, that can stay standing. They will become confident. They will not worry. They will not ask. They will not come to the Imam and ask, Imam, all my friends are deviating. Can I deviate too? Can you give me a fatwa I can deviate too? They will become the other kind of youth. They will become the youth that stand up and everybody around them who's deviating, they look at them and say, you're human beings. Allah taught you to stand up straight. Why don't you stand up straight? They'll learn to ask the other kind of question. They're not going to start asking defensive questions. Then there's al-azima, and finally in the meanings of qayyiman is al-azima. Al-azima, which means resolve, having a mission. This book will always have a mission. This book will always give purpose. People today don't have purpose. That's why they play 20 hours of video games, because they have no purpose. They have no mission. This book gives you a sense of purpose. I'm here on this earth for a reason. I'm supposed to be accomplishing something. My youth is the most important time that I have. This time will never come back. And if I'm going to contribute something to Allah's deen, if I'm going to contribute something to the world, this is the time that I'm going to do it. This is when I'm going to stand up. I have no time to waste. You know, even the West, subhanAllah, there's an author, I recommend this book. It's called Boys Adrift. It's a serious problem in Western society and now globally. Young men that are not motivated to do anything. Young men who don't want to work, they don't want to get out of the house, they don't want to study, they don't want to get good grades, they don't want to do anything for deen or for dunya. They just don't want to do anything. And you might have some of those in your house, sitting around on the couch all day. That's it. That's all they got, flipping channels. Friend calls, hey, what you doing? Nothing. What you doing? Nothing. You want to do nothing together? Maybe. That's it. That's all they got. Completely unmotivated. And what Allah is saying in the word qayyiman is actually, it will give people azima. It will give people something to look forward to. It will give people, like a fire inside them. And it will put them to work. It will put them to work. This is what this book does. In a time when people don't know what to live for, what to accomplish in life, this book will give them that. SubhanAllah. Allah Azza wa Jalla has given, alhamdulillah for that. Which other religion, which other book, which other ideology can claim that? That it doesn't deviate year after year after year? That it doesn't change its standards, that it stays on point. This is qayyim. And so I conclude, why did Allah make it stand up straight? لِيُنْذِرَ بَأْسًا شَدِيدًا مِنْ لَدُنْهُ. So He can warn about a great war that is coming. The great war that is coming. And you've read about the hadith of Masih ad-Dajjal and all of it, right? But before that war comes, there's a war of ideologies. There's a war of values. Everything that is near and dear to us in Islam, the opposite of that is being pushed by trillions of dollars. If Islam pushes us to be humble, there's an entire industry that is pushing people to become arrogant. If Islam wants haya, it wants shame, there's an entire $1 trillion industry that wants people to not have any shame. They want shamelessness to reach their mobile devices. If Islam wants us to have submission to Allah, then there's an entire movement in the world that just wants people to be free from any responsibility. Do whatever you feel like doing. That is real freedom. If Islam wants us to accept Allah's authority, there's an entire movement in the world that says, no, the final authority on you should be you. You should decide everything for yourself. Every single core value of Islam, if you look around you, there is an entire ideological business movement to push the world in the opposite direction, and we ourselves are part of that. We ourselves are being pushed in that direction. This book is the only thing that stands in the way. This book and the man who was given this book, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, are the only thing that stand in that way. There's a flood coming, and we got to go upstream. It ain't easy. It's not easy. And the only thing that will give us the strength to go upstream is Allah Azza wa Jalla's book. I sincerely pray that we become people of this Quran and become people committed to the legacy of our Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam. I sincerely pray that Allah empowers our young people with confidence and character so they can live in this world that is full of fitna, and yet instead of falling into that fitna, because of them other people come out of that fitna. I pray for that for our young people. I pray that Allah Azza wa Jalla gives us and allows us to raise confident, faithful, strong young daughters that are going to be the mothers of the ummah tomorrow, that are going to be, that are going to raise the heroes of this ummah tomorrow. I pray that Allah Azza wa Jalla gives all of the parents here the common sense to not make big mistakes when they're raising their children, to hand them iPhones and to hand them iPads with Wi-Fi and let them sit in their rooms and watch whatever. And so long as they're not bothering me, it's okay. I pray we don't become those parents. I pray we become parents of conscience. That we expose our children to good things and keep them away from being exposed to bad things. And we don't become from those parents whose children are their boss. The children decide what they will buy. And you just say, okay, don't cry, I'll get it for you. I pray we don't become from those people, because children can't guide themselves. Your parents for a reason. I pray we don't become like that, because if we do, there's a dark future ahead. And I believe in a bright future. I believe that if we did our job right, Allah is not asking for much from us. And if we just held on to it, there are great days ahead of us. May Allah Azza wa Jalla make us a strong ummah and make us strong families. Barakallahu li wa lakum fil Qur'an al-Hakim wa nafa'ani wa iyyakum bil ayat wa dhikr al-Hakim. الحمد لله وكفى والصلاة والسلام على عباده الذين اصطفى خصوصا على أفضلهم وخاتم النبيين محمد الأمين وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. يقول الله عز وجل في كتابه الكريم بعد أن نقول أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم إن الله وملائكته يصلون على النبي يا أيها الذين آمنوا صلوا عليه وسلموا تسليما. اللهم صل على محمد وعلى آل محمد كما صليت على إبراهيم وعلى آل إبراهيم في العالمين إنك حميد مجيد. اللهم بارك على محمد وعلى آل محمد كما باركت على إبراهيم وعلى آل إبراهيم في العالمين إنك حميد مجيد. عباد الله رحمكم الله اتقوا الله إن الله يأمر بالعدل والإحسان وإيتاء ذي القربى وينهى عن الفحشاء والمنكر ولذكر الله أكبر والله يعلم ما تصنعون. أقم الصلاة إن الصلاة كانت على المؤمنين كتابا موقوتا.
الله أكبر الله أكبر أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله.